The celestial dawn floated in the void like a solitary ember, its silver hull shimmering faintly against the backdrop of endless stars. Captain Jonas Blackwell stood at the bridge's observation deck, his piercing gaze fixed on the swirling hues of an uncharted nebula. It was a rare beauty in the cold abyss of space, but Jonas' focus wasn't on its aesthetics. It was on the signal. "Are you certain it's not just background radiation?" he asked, his baritone voice cutting through the low hum of the ship's systems. Dr. Elias Grant, the ship's xenolinguist, looked up from his console, a flicker of irritation crossing his weathered face. "Captain, I've run the analysis twice. This isn't random. It's structured. Purposeful." "Purposeful," Jonas repeated, stepping closer to the station. He wasn't one to leap at shadows, but Grant wasn't prone to exaggeration. The signal had come from deep within the nebula, a series of pulses at a frequency no human technology could naturally detect. It had interrupted the ship's routine survey, forcing Jonas to halt their mission and redirect resources. Lieutenant Adrian Carr, the ship's tactical officer, leaned against a bulkhead with arms crossed, his posture relaxed but his eyes sharp. "Even if it's structured, that doesn't mean it's friendly," he said, his skepticism evident. "Could be a trap. Or worse, a warning." Jonas turned to him. "Your official assessment?" Adrian shrugged. "We don't know what's in there. Could be pirates, an ancient automated defense system, or something we can't handle." "Captain," Elias interrupted, gesturing to his screen. "The signal isn't just structured, it's intelligent. Look at this." Jonas and Adrian joined him at the console. The display showed a cascade of symbols and patterns, seemingly chaotic, but with an underlying symmetry that was impossible to ignore. "It's a mathematical construct," Elias explained, his voice brimming with excitement. "A universal language. Whoever, or whatever, sent this wanted it to be understood." "By who?" Jonas asked, his brow furrowing. Elias hesitated. "Not by humans." The room fell silent, save for the hum of the ship's systems. Adrian broke the tension. "Well, that's reassuring." Jonas shot him a look before turning back to Elias. "Explain." "The frequency," Elias said, gesturing at the data. "Humans can't naturally detect it. Our sensors only picked it up because of the modifications we made last month. Whatever sent this wasn't expecting us to hear it. So we're eavesdropping," Adrian said. "Great. It's more than that," Elias said, his voice rising. "This is an invitation. Look here. These sequences. They're instructions. A blueprint for something." Jonas straightened, his instincts on high alert. "What kind of something?" Elias hesitated again, then tapped a few keys. The console displayed a three-dimensional schematic, a complex, alien design that seemed to hum with latent energy. "This," Elias said, "is what they want us to build." Adrian pushed away from the console, shaking his head. "Captain, this is insane. For all we know, assembling that thing could blow us to hell. Or," Elias countered, "it could be the key to unlocking knowledge beyond our imagination." Jonas rubbed his jaw, weighing the options. The mission had strict protocols, but this was the kind of discovery that could change humanity's place in the galaxy. "Can we build it safely?" he asked. "With our current resources, yes," Elias replied. "It'll take a few hours, but—" "Do it," Jonas said, cutting him off. Adrian stepped forward. "Captain, I know the risks," Jonas said firmly. "But we didn't come this far to turn back at the first sign of something extraordinary. Proceed, Dr. Grant." Elias nodded and set to work, his fingers flying over the console. Hours later, the crew gathered in the ship's main lab. The device, an intricate construct of gleaming metal and glowing circuits, stood in the center of the room. It pulsed faintly, as if alive. Elias stepped back, his face a mixture of awe and apprehension. "It's ready?" Jonas exchanged a glance with Adrian, who had positioned himself near a control panel, ready to intervene at the first sign of trouble. "Activate it," Jonas ordered. Elias pressed a button. The device hummed, its glow intensifying. Suddenly, a beam of light shot from its core, projecting a holographic map of the nebula. At its center, a point of intense energy flickered. The ship's sensors came alive, alarms blaring. "Captain," Adrian said, his voice tight, "we've got something incoming." Jonas turned to the main display. An object was approaching fast, massive, unidentifiable, and heading straight for them. "What did we just call?" Adrian muttered. Jonas' jaw tightened. "Whatever it is, it knows we're here." Elias stared at the projection, his expression unreadable. "We answered their call. Now, we see if they want to talk." The ship shuddered as the object came into view, a colossal alien vessel, its surface shimmering with patterns of light that seemed to ripple like water. Jonas squared his shoulders, his voice calm but commanding. "All stations, prepare for first contact." The room held its breath as the alien ship loomed closer, its presence a silent question. And then, with a sudden, blinding flash, everything changed. The alien vessel hung in the void, its presence oppressive yet mesmerizing. Its surface pulsed with intricate patterns of shifting light, a symphony of blues and greens that seemed alive. Captain Jonas Blackwell stood rigid on the bridge of the Celestial Dawn, the tension in the air heavy enough to cut. "Analysis?" Jonas demanded, his voice clipped. Lieutenant Adrian Carr sat at the tactical console, his hands a blur over the controls. "It's massive, Captain. Over 10 times our size. No discernible weapons, but, hell, it could be bristling with things we can't detect." Dr. Elias Grant leaned over another console, his gaze transfixed on the data streaming across the screen. "This ship isn't just advanced, it's ancient. Those energy patterns, they're stable but impossibly complex. This isn't the work of a species still learning." "Then why are they here now?" Jonas asked. Before Elias could respond, the alien vessel emitted a low-frequency hum that reverberated through the celestial dawn, rattling the hull and sending a chill through the crew. Lights dimmed, systems flickered, and then silence fell, unnatural and absolute. "Captain," Adrian said, his voice low, "they're scanning us." Jonas turned to Elias. "What are they looking for?" Elias shook his head. "Impossible to say. But whatever it is, they're doing it at a level we can't even comprehend." The hum ceased as abruptly as it began. A moment later, the ship's comm system crackled to life. It wasn't a voice, but a series of pulsating tones, eerily similar to the signal they'd intercepted. "It's them," Elias whispered, his face pale. Jonas nodded. "Translate it." Elias adjusted the controls, his fingers trembling. After a tense moment, a synthesized voice emerged from the speakers, monotone yet unsettlingly clear. "Human anomaly detected. Transmission unauthorized. Presence unacknowledged. Cease interference." Adrian frowned. They didn't expect us to respond to their signal. Jonas stepped forward. "This is Captain Jonas Blackwell of the Celestial Dawn. We mean no harm. Our actions were driven by curiosity and a desire for understanding. The alien voice cut him off. "Unauthorized species. Primitive designation. Human. Comprehension irrelevant." The bridge fell silent, the weight of the dismissal hanging over the crew. "Comprehension irrelevant." Adrian echoed, his tone edged with anger. "They're brushing us off like we're insects." Elias' gaze darkened. "It's worse than that. They don't even see us as worth acknowledging." Jonas held up a hand, silencing them. "Focus. If they didn't want us to build the device, why include the instructions in the signal?" Elias hesitated. Perhaps it wasn't meant for us. Maybe it was intended for another species, one they consider worthy. A new projection burst to life on the bridge, this one originating from the alien vessel. It displayed a galactic map with dozens of glowing points scattered across it. "Captain, that's a census," Elias said, all creeping into his voice. "What kind of census?" Jonas asked. Elias pointed to the glowing dots. "Each of these marks an intelligent species. The Zarkun, they're cataloging life, evaluating it. Evaluating for what?" Jonas pressed. "Preservation," the alien voice answered, as if anticipating the question. "Imminent galactic upheaval requires determination of relevance. Primitive species will not endure. Compliance ensures survival. Humanity, insufficient." Adrian slammed a fist on the console. "They're writing us off? Who gave them the right?" Jonas stared at the map, his mind racing. What kind of upheaval? The alien projection shifted to show a swirling mass of energy, a supernova, vast and violent, but unlike anything recorded. The scale was incomprehensible, its destructive path spanning light years. Elias paled. That's no natural phenomenon. That's a galactic extinction event. Analysis complete. The alien voice continued. Interference tolerated no longer. Depart or face dissolution. Final warning. The projection vanished, leaving the bridge bathed in dim light. Jonas turned to his crew, his face grim. "They're giving us a choice. Retreat and accept irrelevance, or stand our ground and prove them wrong." Adrian stood straighter, defiance flashing in his eyes. "They've already decided we're not worth saving. We can't let them dictate humanity's future." Elias hesitated, his usually sharp mind caught in a whirlwind of fear and fascination. "Captain, if we antagonize them, we risk annihilation. But if we do nothing, they'll never even remember us." Jonas stepped to the center of the bridge, his voice steady. "This is our moment. Humanity doesn't back down. We adapt, we endure, and we prove ourselves." "Plan, Captain?" Adrian asked, his hand hovering near the ship's defensive controls. Jonas nodded toward Elias. "We send them a message. Something they can't ignore. Something that forces them to see us for who we are." Elias blinked, his mind catching up. "You want to hijack their senses." Jonas met his gaze. "Can you do it?" Elias hesitated, then nodded. "It'll take time to decode their system, but yes. I can broadcast a message across their network." Adrian smirked. "Let's see how they like being on the receiving end for once." "Get to it," Jonas ordered. "And Adrian, prepare the ship for anything. If they retaliate, I want us ready." As the crew sprang into action, Jonas stared out the viewport at the alien vessel, its light still pulsing with unreadable intent. "You think we're irrelevant," he muttered. "We'll see about that." The ship's engines hummed with renewed energy as the celestial dawn prepared to defy the odds. The bridge buzzed with determination, every crew member driven by a shared resolve. Outside, the alien vessel remained still, as if waiting for humanity's answer. Jonas clenched his fists. "If this is a test, let's show them what we're made of." The celestial dawn thrummed with barely contained energy as Dr. Elias Grant finalized the broadcast. His hands flew across the console, recalibrating the alien signal into something uniquely human. "This isn't just a transmission," Elias said, his voice tight with concentration. "It's a declaration of everything we are, our history, our struggles, and our resilience." Captain Jonas Blackwell stood behind him, arms crossed and face etched with determination. "Make it count, Doctor. This might be the only chance we get." Lieutenant Adrian Carr monitored the tactical systems, his fingers poised over the controls. "Captain, they're not going to take this lightly. Their silence won't last forever. Jonas turned to him. That's why you're here. Keep us ready for whatever comes next. Adrian gave a curt nod. If they make a move, they'll regret it. The ship's comm system crackled as Elias initiated the transmission. The holographic map of the galaxy reappeared, overlaid with bursts of human imagery. Ancient cave paintings, towering skyscrapers, moon landings, and the faces of countless individuals from every corner of Earth. This is humanity, the broadcast declared, Elias' voice carrying an almost defiant pride. Judge us not by where we are, but by what we strive to become. We may be young, but we are not insignificant. As the message spread across the alien vessel's network, the celestial dawn trembled. The Zarkun ship's lights intensified, shifting into erratic, almost chaotic patterns. They're responding, Adrian said, his tone laced with both excitement and dread. And it doesn't look friendly. Jonas stepped forward. What are they doing? Elias scanned his console. They're recalibrating their systems. The energy levels are spiking. This could be an attack. Brace for impact, Jonas commanded. The Zarkun ship unleashed a pulse of energy, a wave that collided with the celestial dawn. Lights flickered, and the ship's systems groaned under the strain. Shields at 70%, Adrian reported. We can't take another hit like that. Jonas clenched his jaw. Elias, tell me our message is reaching them. It's more than reaching them, Elias said, his eyes wide as he studied the data. It's disrupting their systems. They're not just receiving our broadcast. They're feeling it. Feeling it? Adrian asked, incredulous. Elias nodded. Their network isn't just data. It's emotional. They communicate through shared experiences. Our broadcast is overwhelming them with human emotion. Hope, fear, love, anger. They've never encountered anything like it. Jonas seized a moment. Then let's push harder. Expand the transmission. Show them everything. Elias hesitated. If we do that, they could retaliate even harder. Or it might destabilize their entire ship. Jonas fixed him with a steely gaze. This is our stand, Doctor. Do it. Elias took a deep breath, then amplified the transmission. The holographic projection expanded, flooding the alien vessel's network with more images. Revolutions fought, disasters endured, and moments of triumph that defined humanity's spirit. The Zarkun ship responded with another pulse, this one stronger and more erratic. The celestial dawn shuddered violently, sparks flying from overloaded systems. Shields at 30%. Adrian shouted, We're not going to hold much longer. Jonas steadied himself against the railing. Hold the line. Elias, what's happening to them? Elias pointed to the display. The Zarkun ship's lights had become a frantic cacophony, their once fluid patterns now jagged and chaotic. They're changing. The emotions are disrupting their collective consciousness. They don't know how to process what we've shown them. Adrian's console beeped urgently. Captain, they're powering down weapons. It's working. Jonas straightened, his voice firm. Keep the pressure on. Let them see who we really are. Suddenly, the comm system crackled again, and the alien voice returned. But this time it was distorted, almost uncertain. Human anomaly reevaluated. Presence acknowledged. Resilience noted. Elias' breath caught. They're listening. Jonas leaned toward the comm panel. We're not just anomalies. We're survivors. Whatever this galactic upheaval is, we'll face it, and we'll endure. The alien ship's lights began to stabilize, the chaotic patterns smoothing into something new, something almost harmonious. Humanity, potential acknowledged. Observation, incomplete. Prepare for the challenge. With that, the Zarkun ship emitted a final pulse, this one gentle, almost reverent. The holographic map of the galaxy reappeared, but now Earth glowed brightly among the marked civilizations. "They've added us to their census," Elias said, his voice filled with awe. Jonas exhaled, the tension in his shoulders easing. "Then they've finally seen us." The alien vessel began to retreat, its massive form vanishing into the nebula. Adrian turned to Jonas, a grin breaking through his usual stoicism. "I think we just told the galaxy we're not going anywhere." Jonas allowed himself a small smile. "Not just the galaxy. Them." Elias stepped back from the console, his hands trembling slightly. "We've bought ourselves a chance. But they warned us. Whatever's coming, it's bigger than we can imagine." Jonas nodded, his expression resolute. "Then we'll be ready. Humanity doesn't quit." As the Celestial Dawn set course for Earth, the crew carried with them not just the weight of what had transpired, but the hope of what lay ahead. Humanity had defied the odds and earned its place among the stars. For the first time, they weren't just surviving. They were standing tall.